So especially because when we do Ambal Varipadu, we have to be, she's mother, right? She's the divine mother and she's always there for us. But at the same time, she expects us to be very sincere about whatever we are doing, right? I mean, that's mother, and she's always going to be protective of us, that she wants to make sure that we are doing things the right way. um, a lot of Lata Sahasranamam, Soundarali and everything, some of these Ambals, Patantaram, they go into a lot of Sri Vidya Upasana, right? They go into a lot of that, and they have, it talks about Shri Chakra Puja and all that, right? Then Periva is very clear about that. Is all that is, and Kundalini Yoga. We, some of you who've been in the Saundarya Lahari class, we talked about this, right? That is meant for a very few people who have gotten that Upadesham, Panchadashi, and all from a guru. It is not something we read off the web, right? Shri Chakra Puja and any of those pujas, and all that, right? Is very, very, it's for a very select few and those who've gotten the right, because the negative effects of doing that wrong will far outweigh the effects of us not doing it at all, right? But if we chant Lalita Sahasranamam, in fact, just as for men, they have their Nitya Karmas, right? Um, it is said that, make Lalita Sahasranam part of your Nitya Karma, right? As we chant it more and more, she herself will give us. Now, remember who has written this, right? The Vak Devis, who are an Amsham of Ambal, have written this, right? So it is like Ambal telling you, giving this Pukisham, this treasure to us to be able to chant it. So let us treat it with utmost respect, utmost sincerity, and try to fix the pronunciations to the best we can. And that was my request for those. I'm Tamil as well, and so I have people at home who do it in Tamil. For those of you who are reading it in Tamil, um, try to mark where we have the ka, ga, pa, pa, and all that, those variances, so that we chant it as correctly as possible, right? So again, it's a beautiful text, and today what I thought is something that I have learned over the as part of reading Sahasranamam. I'm very curious about, what is the origin of this. So thought I'll just share a small snippet on how the Purva Bhagam, Lalita Sahasranam has a Purva Bhagam to it. So Lalita Sahasranamam is part of the Brahmanda Purana. Okay, it comes at the end of the Brahmanda Purana, and it comes in a section called Lalitopakhyanam, right? So in Brahmanda Purana, again, this is compiled by Vedavyasa. In Brahmanda Purana, in the Lalitopakhyanam section, is really talk about Lalita. She is Lalitambika, right? Lalitambika is the embodiment of motherhood. Really, like she is Lalita means charming. It means beautiful, and she is the embodiment of the motherhood, right? So she's a very Saumyam presentation. That means she's very charming. She's very calm. That just seeing Lalitambika, she's Tripura Sundari, right? So extremely beautiful. The forms of Tripura Sundari, Rajarajeshwari, Lalitambika, Meenakshi, Kamakshi, they're all very, very beautiful forms, right? With a lot of divine manifestations of hers. So as we look at this, so it comes in Brahmanda Purana in this last section called Lalitopakyanam. Now, this is a conversation between Hayagriva and Agastya, because at the end of Lalita Sahasranam it said, the Brahmanda Purane Hayagriva Agastya Samvade, right? Hayagriva and Agastya Samvadam, their dialogue. That's a conversation. So this is a conversation, I think, that many of you may already be aware. Now, just let's take a step back, and everybody knows Hayagriva, right? He is a Jnananandamayam Devam. He is an embodiment of Jnanam, right? So, in fact, he is a form of Vishnu. So, just as we have in the Shiva, for Shaivites, we have Dakshinamurti for the Adi Guru. And then we have over here, we have Adi Guru as Hayagriva, as coming from Vishnu. And right, in Smartas, we take everything. So, but basically, Hayagriva is a form of Vishnu and is Bhagwan, right? And he is known as the Jnana Guru, which is why for children we teach Jnananandamayam, right? When you start. Now, how did that form of, just a small aside as to how I found it very interesting to learn about it. So I wanted to share, how did that Hayagriva Vishnu get that form? So there's two stories attributed to it. In Bhagavatam, and those of you who know Bhagavatam may have more insight into it, there is a story where Brahma is doing some penance, And then out of that Homakundam comes Hayagriva as he brings all the Vedas forward, right? So, and the reason for this is because I don't know if some of you are aware that there was an Asura called Hayagriva, and I think in Matsya Avataram there is one version where he's supposed to have gotten the Vedas back from Hayagriva, from the from by defeating Hayagriva. So here Hayagriva, as the embodiment of God Lord Vishnu, rises from the Homakundam, and he returns, he gives the Vedas to Brahma. So that is one. The more popular one is one in Devi Bhagavatam. So in Devi Bhagavatam, the story goes as there's constantly, all our Puranas are really talking about what we are talking about, good versus evil, right? Everything that it's teaching us, there is a question whether, are our Puranas true or not. And this is one request that I have for all of us, something I've learned and I think I've shared. Whenever we are talking to others, right, let us not say mythology, let's say our Puranas, right? Because mythology makes it a myth, right? And we ourselves are calling it a myth. No, a lot of our Puranas are have happened in the past, right? From times to make it our poets and everything, to make things a little more appealing and to teach us more, they may have added a poetic, that you had talked about the poetic liberty, right? So they may have added something, but there is a lot of truth in our Puranas, and we should heartfelt believe in it. So in Bhagavata, in Devi Purana, there was a time that Shiva, all the gods were fighting, and Vishnu was fighting, and he was, as part of his avatars for 16,000 years, he was fighting with all these. And at one point he was very tired, right? And everybody was tired, so they were taking a break. So what Vishnu does is he sits in his Padmasana form, right? The Padmasana form. He's called Sharangapani, right? Why is he called Sharangapani? Because his bow is called Sharanga. Shiva is called Pinakapani because his bow is called Pinaka, right? So here he's called Sharangapani. So his Sharanga bow is already strung. It's strung because he's just taking a short break, and he needs to go back to battle. So he's strung the bow and he's just keeping it like that. And then he's in Yoga Nidra, basically. And then all the other devas are, he's the Srishti and he's the Sthiti. He's in is in charge of Sthiti. So he's the one who needs to come to fight all these asuras and maintain balance. So all the other Bhagavans and devas, Brahma, Shiva and all want to say, okay, oh my God, these people are coming back to fight. We need to wake up Vishnu. And then Shiva says it's not right to wake up somebody who's asleep. So then what Brahma says is, okay, I know it's not good to do that, but I'll come up with an idea. One of my creations is this insect, right? And so we'll have this insect go and just chew on that bowstring, right? So when the bowstring, if you slightly chew on it, that will make a noise, right? So from that noise, Vishnu will wake up. Okay. There is one story where, I think there is one version where Indra apparently came as that insect, but whatever it was one insect that was supposed to go chew. So everybody agreed, and then this insect goes and chews. But what happens is, instead of just making a noise, an entire bowstring gives away, right? And they see that, and this is Sharanga, right? We're talking, it is so powerful, it completely cuts the head of Vishnu. Okay, now we have to understand all this is Leela, right? All this was meant to happen, right? So it is all Leela. And then everybody is worried, oh my God, everybody is frantic. What have we done in the Nadagunur Kukudade? What should we do about this? And then everybody says, okay, who's the one who will Dushtanashini, right? Who helps us and think? Let us go to Ambal. So they all pray to Ambal, they do penance to Ambal. Ambal comes and says, don't worry, this was supposed to happen in a previous Janma or in a previous Yuga. There was an Asura, and for that Asura to be killed, somebody in us, he said that only somebody in a horse with a horse head can come and kill me. That was a boon he got. So all this is part of that. So as part of that yagya that all these devas were doing, right? So Ambal says, okay, take this horse head and go put it on Hayagriva and put it on that Vishnu, and then he will get up. So that's how it happened. That's how he got his horse head. And then Hayagriva, Vishnu came back, and then he fought everything and everything was done. So that is the story of Hayagriva. And Agastya, we all know. Agastya is a very short, but he's one of the Maharshis, Saptarishis, right? And then he came, he's done a lot. He won over the Vindhya, he quelled the pride of the Vindhyas and everything. So that is Agastya. And then he comes to Kanchipuram, and then he goes to Varadaraja Perumal temple, and he says over there, okay, I want to learn more about Veda, and then I want to learn more, right? Okay. So then Vishnu says that is a work of Hayagriva. I think there's a Hayagriva Sannidhi over there, and he says you go learn from Hayagriva. So that is how the conversation started about, and then the entire, this is the prelude, right? Starting from here, when Agastya goes to Hayagriva and asks him to teach him, that is where the Purva Bhagam of Lalita Sahasranamam begins, and that is the portion in Lalitopakhyan. Everything else about the Hayagriva story and all was more in Devi Bhagavatam, about how Hayagriva got his horse. So in Devi Bhagavatam, so when we talk about Devis, right, they're considered to be 12, many Devi Upasakas are there. The most important, or the prime Devi Upasaka is Shiva himself. Okay, Shiva is considered Shiva, Manmata. So we see that all in Sindhu, you'll see it in Lalita Sahasranamam, and you will see it in Saundarya Lahari and all. Mamata is one of the biggest devotees of Ambal. Then Agastya, Durvasa, right? They're all big devotees of Ambal. In fact, Durvasa is the one who if you go to the Sri Yantram and all that over there, right? Durvasa is the one who came up with the Puja Vidhi in Kanchipuram. In fact, in Kamakshi temple, I've been told. So these are all the Ambal Upasakas. And Lopamudra. Lopamudra is Agastya's wife. Extremely pious lady, extremely, chaste woman. So Hayagriva had already taught Lopamudra the Lalita Sahasranamam. So when Hayagriva and Agastya are conversing, Hayagriva tells Agastya, it comes in that Purva Bhagam, he tells about Devi Upasaka, he talks about Dashamaha Vidya, he talks about Sri Chakra, puja, he talks about Bhandasura Vadam, and which is what Lalita Sahasranamam, one of the main is Lalita Sahasranam, Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta, right? We'll talk about that, but Bhandasura Vadam, right? That is one of the, he'll talk about that. And you'll see many, the Mantrini, Dandini, a lot of different Devis are there in the Vak Devis, a lot of different Devis are there. So Hayagriva will tell him about all of them, but he will not tell him about Lalita Sahasranamam. And that Agastya feels little upset about that, and he asks him, can you tell me why you didn't tell me about Lalitambika's glory? Why didn't you tell me that? You gave me Upadesham of all these. Is it that I am not ready yet, or did you forget about it? Right? So he asks him very politely, and then he says, can you please teach me? So Hayagriva is very pleased with him, and he says, no, not at all. It is not that you are not worthy of it. Lalita Sahasranamam is it is rahasyam. Again, the reason for the rahasyam was what I told before, right? It's a lot of mantra vidhis, and it's got a lot of bija. It is very, 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 very sacred, right? So it has got all that rahasyam. It's got the kundalini and everything, marg and all that. So it is rahasyam. So you should not teach somebody who is not ready, or who doesn't ask for it. But because you asked for it, you are definitely worthy, and I'm going to teach you Lalita Sahasranam. So that is how Lalita Sahasranamam starts. It starts that way. So that is the prelude, right? So there is about 51 slokams of Purva Bhaga, where this conversation, this dialogue between Hayagriva and Agastya happens. And then it comes to the Lalita Sahasranam, where he talks about the names. So the core Lalita Sahasranamam is about 183 verses, right? But then when they talk about the 50 verses in the Purva Bhaga, and I think there are some Uttara Bhaga verses as well. But the core that we will do is the 4 Dhyanam Shlokams, and then the 183 verses. Okay. One other thing I just wanted to, because we are talking about the story, right? I wanted to just tell you for those of you are familiar, we have Shri Mata Shri Maharagini Simhashaneshwari Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta, right? That is actually a story. Chidagni Kunda Sambhuta again, yes. What Chit Agni? Okay. Here you can take it as a Homa Kundam again. The story behind that is again Devas and Asuras are all fighting. We have let's go back to the story of Sati, right? Sati is basically she goes to Daksha's sacrifice. She doesn't, she's upset with Daksha, and then she falls into the fire, right? And so Shiva is raving mad. So he has the Bhairavas, he invokes the Bhairavas and all that. And basically, and then there's a story as an aside where Vishnu, Shiva's taking Sati, and then he's just walking about really mad. And Vishnu, he wants to get Shiva out of this. So he takes the Shakti and Ambal, and then he cuts her into pieces and throws the different pieces. And those are the pieces that become the Shakti Pitams. Okay, so where the Odiyana Pitam is Kanchi, right? So they each all the so the different that's basically how we got all the Shakti Pitas, the 51 Shakti Pitas. Now, going back to what did Shiva do? Shiva went and became Dakshinamurti and he started doing penance. Then we have the likes of Tarakasura and all these Asuras who are coming, right? So, for Tarakasura, the story behind Tarakasura is that the son of Shiva, only Shiva's Amsham can kill. That's the Varam that Tarakasura got, which has to be Muruga. Now, if he is here, what is going to happen? We can't get anybody, right? So all the devas again go into this, and at that time, Shiva Parvati is already born as Himavan's daughter, as Parvati, right? So then we have the story of everybody goes and prays to her, and then he says, what, in this form I will come, and then we have Manmata who went, and everybody knows that story, right? And then Manmata was burned to ashes. And then obviously, then they both get married. And late, there's an aside story where Rati goes and says, okay, you both are married, now my husband, which is why he's called Ananga, which is one without a limb. So she brings him back alive. Ambal brings Manmata alive, but only for Rati's eyes. Okay, that is why he's called Ananga, right? One without Angas. So going back to that, Manmatha's ashes are there, right? So Manmatha literally there's a lot of spiritual significance to that. Manmatha means Man's Mathanam, right? Our Manasoda Mathanam. So all the churning that happens to us, all the desires that go on in our Manas, that is really Manmatha. Okay, that's what he symbolizes, right? So because he's got 5 arrows, Pushpa Banam, his Pancha Pushpa Banam are really symbolize our 5 senses. So that Bhandasura's mud is there, the ashes are there. So there is a couple of variations. In one variation, it's Ganesha who does it. In another variation, there's a Gana in Kailasam. There is a Gana called Chitrasen or something, who basically molds the ashes and makes a human out of it, right? And playing with that, he goes and tells Shiva, please give it life. Then he gives that body life, and that is basically Bhandasura. Okay, now before he became an Asura, Bhandasura was actually a very good guy. He was very there was a lot of, he basically did a lot of good, and he was extremely good about his karma and his doing yagam and yagyas and propitiating and all. He was very, very good about that. But at some point, like everybody, the garvam goes to your head, and he started doing creating havoc, and then fighting with Indra, fighting with everybody as usual. He will drive Indra out. That's a normal course of everything that we listen, right? So goes and turns. He does this, and then one of the things we have to know is that no matter how bad you are, if see, everything works on punya and papam, right? Even though you have a bunch of papams that you're doing as an asura, you're constantly doing these punyams that are also going into the bank, which is in the form of all these yajnas and everything, right? So he was pretty much invincible. So at that point, and he had gotten a boon also, that he could only be killed by a woman, which is why Ambal comes. Okay. Because he was doing these yagyas, still he would stop these yagyas. He couldn't, there's no way anybody can even, go against him. So they all prayed to Brahma, and then Vishnu against the Sthitikarta. So as a temporary fix for this problem, Vishnu manifests as a girl, and beautiful girl. And as usual, Bandasura fell in love with her and all that. And he was in Moham and he gave up all his karma. So that was basically um, a cue for all these devas to go back and fight with Bandasura. But still, he was very powerful, right? So then what they did is, that was only a temporary fix that Vishnu did. Now again, Bandasura came to power and he started vanquishing all that. At that point, again, everybody, Vishnu says, we have to go to Ambal, right? So then they do their homam. They do a homa, and then on that big homa, and it's a very, very powerful homa, they start, cutting off their limbs and offering it into the fire, right, for Ambal. And at one point, they were going to offer jump into the fire themselves. At that point, Ambal, Lalita Ambika, beautiful Tripura Sundari, she comes out of the Homakunda and she says, "Don't worry, I will come and vanquish it." So again, the symbolic reference here is, when we are talking about the devas, we've all got good and bad in us, right? We've got our Asura Shakti and this, right? So when we offer everything of in our mind to all our negative thoughts and everything into that pit, right? That means Ambal, basically, Lalita Ambaka resists. So that is the Chid Agni. Chit is really your intellect, your mind. So Chit Agni Kunda Sambhuta. That is a reference for Lalitambika rising. So I just wanted to give that as a story because that is one of the, I didn't want to pause over there, but that is basically the story of Lalitambika. So with that, we will go into to the actual dhyanam. And I'm just going to go in some random order that I see today, but then after that we'll go. Okay. Prabha, do you want to take ma? We'll just start with the one. So I don't know how many of you are, I mean, many of you may be already familiar, but just because we are in a class, I would just suggest that you all repeat on mute and we will do one after the other, okay? Sinduraruna vigraham trinayanam. Prabha, do you want us to repeat, ma? I'm just going in order of what I see on the screen.
Sinduraruna vigraham trinayanam.
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 Manikya Mauli Spurat.
Manikya Mauli Spura.
Spurat. Mani, yeah, twice. Manikya Mauli Spurat.
Manikya Mauli Spurat.
Taranayaka Shekharam Smitamukhim.
Taranayaka Shekaram Smitamukhim. Taranayaka Shekaram Smitamukhim.
Apina Vakshoruham.
Apina Vakshoruham. Apina Vakshoruham.
Panebhyam Alipurna Ratna Chashakam.
Panibhya Manipurna Ratna Chashakam. Panibhya Manipurna Ratna Chashakam.
Alipurna Ratna Chashakam.
Manibhya Alipurna Ratna Chashakam.
Raktotpalam Bibhratim.
Raktotpalam Bibhratim. Raktotpalam Bibhratim.
Bibhratim, longi, okay? Bibhratim.
Bibhratim.
Saumyam Ratna Ghatastha Rakta Charanam.
Saumyam Ratna Ghatastha Rakta Charanam. Saumyam Ratna Ghatastha Rakta Charanam.
Dhyayet Paramambikam.
Dhyayet Paramambikam. Dhyayet Paramambikam.
One more time. Sinduraruna Vigraham Trinayana Manikya Mauli Sphurat.
Sindhuraruna Vigraham Trinayana Manikya Maulispura.
Spurat, say it twice. Yeah.
Sindhuraruna Vigraham Trinayana Manikya Maulispura.
Spurat.
Spurat.
Taranayaka Shekaram Smitamukhim Apina Vakshoruham.
Taranayaka Shekaram Smitamupi Mapina Vakshoruham.
Vakshoruham.
Vakshoruham. Staranayaka
It's not Stara, ma Taranayaka only.
Oh, I have
I think
Okay.
because you have all these Purats, you're having it unless you have it as one. It's Tara Nayak.
Okay.
It's basically Tara
Okay. Okay.
stars.
तारानायकशेखरां स्मितमुखी मा मापीनवक्षोरुहाम्
So where you split is Smitha Mukhim Apina Vakshoruham. Smita Mukhim. If you don't know, just say it as one. Smita Mukhim Apina Vakshoruham.
स्मितमुखी मापीनवक्षोरुहाम्
पाणिभ्याम् अलिपूर्ण रत्न चषकं रक्तोत्पलं बिभ्रतीम्.
पाणिभ्या मणिपूर्णरत्नचषकं रक्तोत्पलं बिभ्रतीम् पाणिभ्या रत्नचषकं रक्तोत्पलं बिभ्रतीम्
सौम्यां रत्नघटस्थरक्तचरणां ध्यायेत् परामम्बिकाम्.
सौम्यां रत्नघटस्थरक्तचरणां ध्यायेत् परामम्बिकाम्
Okay. Do you want to try saying it, Ma?
Okay. सिन्दूरारुणविग्रहां त्रिनयनां माणिक्यमौलिस्फुरास्तारानायकशेखरां स्मितमुखीमापीनवक्षोरुहाम्
Apina. Okay.
आपीनवक्षोरुहां पाणिभ्या मणिपूर्णरक्तचक्षकं रक्तोत्पलं बिभ्रतीं सौम्यं
Bibratim.
बिभ्रतीं सौम्यं रत्नघटस्थरक्तचरणं ध्यायेत् परामम्बिकाम्
Yeah. So this it is said that actually I forgot to mention Lalita Sasnam was composed by Vakdevi. So basically, Ambal is called, Amba tells Vakdevis, right? There is, I think, 8 Vakdevis, and all these Vakdevis are also part of the Sri Chakra has 9 Avaranams, which is why you call it Navavarana Puja, right? Navavarana means, and Ambal is at the center, the Bindu. So the Vakdevis are there. So she basically calls the Vakdevis and says, please compose this, and so that it is available to all my bhaktas, especially in Kali Yuga, that they should keep chanting this as their Nitya Paranam. So this is Lalita Sahasranam. And another speciality, I forgot to say that, right? If you take all the other Sahasranamams, right, they have the speciality of Lalita Sahasranamam is because it is composed by Vagdevi, which is it is Devi herself. There is absolutely no word that is repeated, no meaning that. So even in Vishnu Sahasranamam and some of the other Sahasranamams, and again, there's no, I mean, they're all very beautiful and all powerful. But given that Ambal herself in for her Amsha only composed it, you can see this thing. There is absolutely no word that is repeated. There is no name that is repeated. That is the meaning. The other thing is there is absolutely no filler words. For example, if you take Vishnu Sahasranam, you have Shankhi, Vanamali, Gadi, Sharangi, Shankhi, Chakri, Cha, Nandiki, right? Cha is a filler word. It means and, right? So those kind of things you'll not see in Lalita Sahasranam at all. Every word is part of her meaning, and in some cases, and I want to say again, goes to the pronunciation, right? The entire line is one name of hers. So we have to be very careful about not pausing at random places. Okay, so that comes with practice, right? So we just have to we have to split it correctly. If we don't know where to split it, then we just say the whole line. Okay, so that is a specialty. So this first dhyanam, again, dhyanam is always, many of our stotrams have dhyanams, right? Very beautiful. Dhyanam is so that before we start chanting, we can visualize Bhagwan, right? Any of our, we have dhyanam. So that is to visualize. And in this dhyanam, Sindura Aruna. So Ambal is said to be, Sindura is red color, right? Aruna is again, is the color of the rising sun, and it is the color of the rising sun because the midday sun is scorching. The rising sun is the balarka, they call it the youthful, the young sun, right? That is very beautiful. That is the color of Ambal, right? And that means love, passion, everything, right? So the Ambal signifies that. So Sindura Aruna Vigraham, again, she is of that form. Nayanam, she has 3 eyes, right? Manikya Mauli Spurata. Manikya Mauli is basically of the she wears a Mauli. She wears a gem, a crown studded with all those manikyams, right? And the Mauli is the moon, and the moon. She also has the Shekaram, right? So she also has the moon. So that crown has that. Tara Nayaka Shekharam. Okay, so Tara Nayaka, right? So of all the stars, the moon is said to be the spouse, the husband of all the taras, or of all the stars. So that Tara Nayaka Shekharam, right? That moon is on that crown. Shekharam's Smita Mukhim. Smita Mukhim is her Mukhim. Smita is a very beautiful, gentle smile, right? Not laughing, but very gentle smile. Apina Vakshoruham. It really means that she has full bosoms, right? And then the reason for that is because she is an embodiment of mother, right? And she nourishes the entire universe. So that's how you visualize her. Panibhyam, in her hands. Alipurna Ratna Chashakam. So she has Amritam, right? And Amritam is considered like it is with bees. Aripurna, it's a full, the Chashakam is like a cup. So she has that. And Raktotpalam Bibhratim, she has this beautiful flower called Raktotpalam. Okay. Saumyam Ratna Ghatastha Rakta Charanam. So Saumyam is again, it means that somebody who's very, very, very charming. Okay, Saumyamarku we say. Okay, to somebody who's very charming. Ratna Ghatastha Charanam, right? Charanam is her, again, her feet, and Raktam is red color. Okay, so Rakta Charanam is her colored left, her foot, and she is and putting it on her, and she has it on a pot consisting of rubies. Okay, and on that supreme form, Dhyayet Param Ambika. On that Ambikam, okay, this is the that Param, that supreme Ambika, I meditate. Okay. Kritika ma, can you take it ma? Kritika, post it, Ramchandra. Yeah. Next one. So this first dhyanam is supposed to be composed by the Vagdevis themselves. That is what is said. That's what I've heard. Okay. Dhyayet Padmasanastham. Oh, sorry. Arunam Karunatarangitaakshim.
Arunam Karunatarangitaakshim. Arunam Karunatarangitaakshim.
Dhritapashankusha Pushpabana Chapam.
Dhrita Pushpabana Chapam. Dhrita Pushpabana Chapam.
Animadibhiravrita Mayukhaihi.
Animadibhiravrtam Mayukhaihi. Animadibhiravrtam Mayukhaihi.
Ahamityeva Vibhavaye Bhavani.
Ahamityeva vibhavaye bhavanim. Ahamityeva vibhavaye bhavanim.
Arunam Karunatarangitaakshim. Dhritapashankusha Pushpabana Chapam.
Arunam Karunatarangitaakshim. Dhrita Pushpabana Arunam Karunatarangitaakshim. Dhrita Pushpabana
Animadibhiravrita Mayukhair Ahamityeva Vibhavaye Bhavani.
Animadibhiravrtam Mayukhair Ahamityeva vibhavaye bhavanim. Animadibhiravritam mayukhair ahamityeva vibhavaye bhavanim.
Can you say it, ma'am?
Arunam Karunatarangitaakshim. Dhrita Pushpabana Chapam. Animadibhiravritam mayukhair ahamityeva vibhavaye bhavanim.
So you can say.
I have a question here in the
Sure.
pronunciation. Trida Pasankusha Pushpa Bana Vabi over there. Pushpa Bana.
Pushpabana Chapamba.
Okay. And next one, Animadibir Avritam Mayur Kai.
So on the irru vandu, you're saying it when you join it. So there's two ways to say it. Animadi, anima and adi, adina, etc. Okay. So anima and the anima girimana, the ashtasiddhis irukku, which we say Hanuman even has ashtasiddhi navanidhike. So the ashtasiddhi is so he's saying anima is one of the ashtasiddhi. So anima and etc. So anima adi avritamna surrounded by. Okay.
So bir or bira? Animadi bira.
Bir animadi bir avritam bhiravritam. Rana, when you say it together, animadi bhiravritam mayukhair ahamit. You can say it mayukhaihi and ahamityeva or mayukhair rahamityeva. Together you can say it.
Okay. I have he, so that's why I was asking.
So let me just say it one time, okay?
Hmm.
अरुणां करुणातरङ्गिताक्षीं धृतपाशाङ्कुशपुष्पबाणचापाम् अनिमादिभिरावृतां मयूखैरहमित्येव विभावये भवानीम्. Okay, Sujata, no doubt irka?
I'm good. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So, second word is Arunam Karunam Tarangitakshim, right? Okay. So again, we're talking about her eyes, which is full of compassion. Okay. Karuna Akshim. Okay. Taruna is a very youthful, right? Again, she is red in color, and her eyes are full, very youthful. She's Tarangitakshina. Taranga is waves. Okay. So she has waves of compassion. Her eyes. And Dhrita is holding. What is she holding? She said to have 4 hands, okay? Pasha, Ankusha, Pushpabana. And she has a she has a pasha, pushpa. Basically, she has the bow and she has the arrows, Ikshukodandam, right? So here we're not talking about the Ikshukodandam here. It'll come later. But here it's talking about pasha. Pasha is the noose, right? So by that she pulls her devotees towards her. Okay. Ankusha is basically the goad, the whip, right? And by that she is basically driving away, all our vasanas, bad vasanas, and all our negative qualities. She wants to drive away. The Pushpa Bana chap, the Pushpa Bana is the bow actually. The Pushpa Bana and the chapa is the arrows. Sorry, the flowery arrows. The arrows, she has 5 arrows, and I mentioned, right, Manmata has 5 arrows. It is said that she has the arrows that Manmata, she holds the arrows of Manmata and gives it to him only when needed. Why? Because again, those 5 arrows represent everything of our 5 senses, right? Because which go off in all directions. Yeah. So, but when you keep, and the bow represents the mind, that Ikshukodandam, right? The sugarcane bow represents our mind. So when she holds that, so when we surrender to her, that means she has all these in her control, right? So we are basically submitting to her control. So Dhrita Pashankusha Pushpa Bana Chapam is arrows. Anima Adibihi Avritam Mayukahi is rays. Okay. Animadi is against like all the Ashtasiddhis. That means what? The meaning is also that anybody who does Amba Upasakam and all that, right, they may have access to all these Ashtama Siddhis and all that, right? Because all these Ashtama Siddhis are just completely surrendering to her, right? And they are ready to serve her. So, Aham Ityeva Vibhavaye Bhavanim. And she is within me. And I am Vibhavaye, that Bhavanim, that Bhavanim, I meditate, Vibhavaye, I meditate upon. Okay, that's the meaning of this word. Radhika ma, can you take it? Dhyayet padmasanastham
ध्यायेत् पद्मासनस्थां ध्यायेत् पद्मासनस्थां
vikasita vadanam
विकसितवदनां विकसितवदनां
padmapatrayatakshim
पद्मपत्रायताक्षीं पद्मपत्रायताक्षीं
hemabham pitavastram
हेमाभां पीतवस्त्रां हेमाभां पीतवस्त्रां
karakalitasat
करकलितलसत् करकलितलसत्
hema padma. So when you split it, it's lasat is shining. Lasat ta ending ma, okay? And hema padmam varangim
हेमपद्मां वराङ्गीं
सर्वालङ्कारयुक्ताम्
सर्वालङ्कारयुक्तां सर्वालङ्कारयुक्तां
सततमभयदाम्
सततमभयदां
भक्तनम्रां भवानीम्
भक्तनम्रां भवानीं भक्तनम्रां भवानीम्
श्रीविद्यां शान्तमूर्तिं
श्रीविद्यां शान्तमूर्तिं श्रीविद्यां शान्तमूर्तिं
सकलसुरनुतां सर्वसम्पत्प्रदात्रीं
सकलसुरनुतां सर्वसम्पत्प्रदात्रीं सकलसुरनुतां सर्वसम्पत्प्रदात्रीं
ध्यायेत् पद्मासनस्थां विकसितवदनां पद्मपत्रायताक्षीम्
ध्यायेत् पद्मासनस्थां विकसितवदनां पद्मपत्रायताक्षीं ध्यायेत् पद्मासनस्थां विकसितवदनां पद्मपत्रायताक्षीम्
हेमाभां पीतवस्त्रां करकलितलसद्धेम पद्मां वराङ्गीम्
हेमाभां पीतवस्त्रां करकलितलसद्धेम पद्मां वराङ्गीं हेमाभां पीतवस्त्रां करकलितलसद्धेम पद्मां वराङ्गीम्
सर्वालङ्कारयुक्तां सततमभयदां भक्तनम्रां भवानीम्
सर्वालङ्कारयुक्तां सततमभयदां भक्तनम्रां भवानीं सर्वालङ्कारयुक्तां सततमभयदां भक्तनम्रां भवानीम्
श्रीविद्यां शान्तमूर्तिं सकलसुरनुतां सर्वसम्पत्प्रदात्रीम्
श्रीविद्यां शान्तमूर्तिं सकलसुरनुतां सर्वसम्पत्प्रदात्रीं श्रीविद्यां शान्तमूर्तिं सकलसुरनुतां सर्वसम्पत्प्रदात्रीं ध्यायेत् पद्मासनस्थां विकसितवदनां पद्मपत्रायताक्षीं हेमाभां पीतवस्त्रां करकलितलसद्धेम पद्मां वराङ्गीं सर्वालङ्कारयुक्तां सततमभयदां भक्तनम्रां भवानीं श्रीविद्यां शान्तमूर्तिं सकलसुरनुतां सर्वसम्पत्प्रदात्रीम्
Beautiful. The third one, the second verse is supposed, again, just based on what I've heard, it's composed by Dattatreya. Okay. So, third verse, I don't know. The fourth verse is supposed to be composed by Acharya, Adi Acharya, Adi Shankara. Okay. So, Dhyayet Padmasanastham. So, Dhyayet Ambika Bhavanim. Okay. The third line, you have that Bhavanim, right? So, basically, all these are adjectives for Bhagan. So, I am meditating on that goddess, right? Dhyayet. And who that form of that goddess is Padmasanastham, one who's seated on that on a lotus, right? In that Padmasana posture. Vikasita Vadanam. Okay, Vikasita is like a full bloomed a lotus. That is how her face is. Padma Patraya Takshim. Akshim is eyes. And she's got lotus, Padma Patra, like the lotus petals, right? That's how her eyes are. Hemabham Pita Vastram. Hemabham means she's got a golden color, like she's shining. She's brilliant. Pita Vastram. So Pita Vastram is she's yellow. So you have to see a lot of parallels, and Periva keeps saying that basically Ambal is Perumal, right? I mean Padmanabha Sahodari, right? She is. They're really the same. And and beautifully in Tamil, he said Annavum Thangarum Adikara Koothu. எப்படியோ இருக்கு அண்ணாவும் அடிய தங்க because they are both controllers of Maya, right? They are both Maya, right? He's Maya one, she's Mahamaya, right? So they ரெண்டு பேரும் அண்ணாவும் தங்கையும் அடிக்கிற கூத்து is what Periva actually says. But a lot of these descriptions, he's Pitambari, right? He's Pitambaran. So Krishna. So Hemabham Pita Vasram Kara Kalita Lasad Hema Padmam Varangim. So Varangim, so in her hand she is holding all these lotuses, Padmam, right? In her, she's holding Sarva Lankara Yuktam. So she is adorned with all sorts of jewelry. Like but in fact, in Saundarya Lahari, it will come that, she is not adorning, the jewelry is not adorning her. She is giving beauty to the jewelry. Really, right? Satatam Abhayadam. Satatam is always, Abhayadam means she's always having that Abhaya and Varada mudra, right? That basically she says, don't fear, Abhayam, right? Bhaktanamram Bhavani, right? To all the people who bow before her, right? And in fact, she bows, Namram is to bow, to bend. So, in fact, she bends in order to help her devotees, right? Because she's mother. And what is she? Shri is the form of Shri Vidyam. She Shantamurtim. She is the Lalitambika in that form. Again, we're not talking Durga form. In Lalitambika form, she is peace, right? She's Shantamurtim. Sakala Sura Nutam, right? Always praised by all the suras. Suras are good people, asura, opposite of asuras, right? Suras are all good people. Nutam is praised. She's always praised by devas and all the good people. Sarva Sampat Pradatrim, and she grants Sarva Sampat. All wealth means, don't think it as literally money wealth. Everything that people desired, Pradatrim, she gives everything. Okay. Nitya Venkatraman. I think, do you want to chant, ma? And Mami, I see you there. Okay. Yeah. Fourth one. Sakunkuma Vilepanam. Enna?
Amma will continue. Na feed panna poren babyக்கு.
Okay, no problem. No problem. நீங்க chant பண்றீங்களா மாமி? Repeat பண்றீங்களா? Okay.
Okay.
Sakunkuma Vilepanam.
எங்கம்மா அது எடுக்கலையா?
நாலாவது தியானம்.
ஓகே.
Sakunkuma Vilepanam. Chant கேக்கலையா மாமி? நீங்க chant repeat.
குங்கும
Vilepanam.
விலேபனாம்
Alika Chumbi Kasturikam.
அலிகலி கஸ்தூரிகாம்
Alika Chumbi Kasturikam.
அலிகலி கஸ்தூரிகாம்
Samandahasite Kshanam.
சமந்தகசிதேட்சணாம் சமந்தகசிதேட்சணாம்
Sashara Chapa Pashankusham.
சமர சாபாபசாங்குஷம்
Sasharana bow and arrow. Sashara
சசர சாபாபசாங்குஷம்
Chapa mami. Pa as in modal pa.
சாப
Pashankusham.
பாசாங்குசாம்
Samandahasite Kshanam.
சமந்தகசிதேட்சணாம்
Sashara Chapa
சாபபாசாஸ் அங்குசாம்
Pashankush. Chapa la mami. Chapa pa.
சாப
Chapa pa as in Preetin சொல்லுவோம் இல்லையா? Chapa. Chapa Pashankusham.
சாபபாசாங்குசாம்
Ashesha Jana Mohinim.
அசேஷஜனமோகினீம் அசேஷஜனமோகினீம்
Arunamalya Bhushambaram.
அருணமால்யபூஷாம்பராம் அருணமால்யபூஷாம்பராம்
Japa Kusuma Bhasuram.
ஜபாகுசுமபாசுராம்
Japa mami. Japa Kusuma.
பாசுராம் ஜப
Bhasuram na decorated. Bhasuram.
ராம்
Japa Vidhau.
ஜபவிதௌ
Smaredambikam.
அம்பிகாம் ஸ்மரதே அம்பிகாம்
Smaredambikam.
ஸ்மரதே அம்பிகாம்
Smaradela mani. Smared.
ஸ்மரே அம்பிகாம்
Yep.
ஸ்மரே அம்பிகாம்
Sakunkuma Vilepanam.
பிலே அந்த ஒன் லைன் இல்ல அதனால இதுல
Oh, no problem, mami. Sakunkuma. நீங்க just repeat.
குங்கும
Vilepanam.
பிலேபினாம்
Vilepanam.
விலேபனாம்
Alika Chumbi Kasturikam.
அலிகலி கஸ்தூரிகாம்
Alika Chumbi.
கலிக சும்பி
Kasturikam. Chumbi na vandu.
ஆ
Bees. Alika Chumbi Kasturikam.
கஸ்தூரி அம்பிகாம்
Samandahasite Kshanam.
சசர சாபபாசாங்குசாம் அசேஷஜனமோகினீம் அருணமால்யபூஷாம்பராம்
Bhushambaram.
பூஷாம்பராம் ஜபாகுசும்ப kusumasuram
Japa kusuma bhasuram.
jabadidau samatra ambikam
Japa vidhau smaredambikam.
smarate ambikam
Sorry.
smarate ambikam
Smaradela, mami, smaredambikam.
smare ambikam
Yeah.
smare ambikam
Yeah.
samprasideshanam sarasabhasankusam.
Sashara chapa, ma'am. Sashara. Okay. Now already sorted. Sakunkuma vilepanam alika chumbi kasturikam samanda hasite kshanam sashara chapa pashankusham ashesha janamohinim arunamalya bhushambaram japa kusuma bhasuram japa vidhau smaredambikam. So yeah. So again, description. Sa kunkuma vilepanam. Vilepanam is to be anointed, to be smeared, right? So she's smeared with kunkumam. Alika chumbi kasturikam. So the kasturikam is that vermilion, there's a fragrant paste, right? So she has that. So she's anointed with all that. So she attracts. Alika is like bees. So she attracts bees. Okay. And samanda hasita ikshanam, right? So she has again mandahasam. We said it. Mandahasam is smita mukhim, that beautiful smile, right? Manda hasita ikshanam. Okay, that and eyes. She's got a beautiful. She looks. She blesses with the kataksham itself. It is said, with a corner of her eye. If you have if her glance falls on you, you're blessed. So Samanda with her beautiful smile and ikshanam, and Sashara. We said Sa is with. Shara, Chapa, Pashankusham, right? Shara and Chapa, again I said it's bow and arrow, Pasha and Ankusham. So again, it's saying the same thing. Ashesha Janamohini. Shesham is what is remaining. Asheshana is everything without exception. Janamohini. Again, she's Mahamaya, remember, right? She deludes everybody and she blesses everybody. So Ashesha, without exception, Janamohinim. Aruna Malya Bhushambaram. Right? Aruna Malya is again, Aruna is red. Malya is again like a paste. Bhushambaram, she's decorated. Japa Kusuma is, we have it also in Navagraha Sutram, Japa Kusuma Sankasham, right? It is because the Surya is the color of red. For Aditya, you have Japa Kusuma Sankasham, Kashyapeyam Mahadyutyam. So Japa Kusuma Bhasuram, she is prayed to, she's the color of that, she is brilliant, she is decorated with with hibiscus flowers, and Japa and Vidhau Smared Ambikam, okay? And she is worshipped by the vidhis, about the rules of japa, right? That's how she's worshipped, and to that ambikam I pray. Smared ambikam. Smarati is to remember, right? So I think about her in that form again. So these are the dhyanams where you're visualizing Ambal. If we have to take away, right, she's a beautiful red color, right? And she has a mandas hasitam, beautiful eyes, smiling eyes, and she's got all these jewelries that she's adorned with. But the main thing is she's got she's got her four hands with pasha, ankusham, and everything, and pasha, ankusham, and then the shara and chapa, and she also has she's said to bless. Okay, so in fact, I don't know if those of you who remember drawing apparel, we have not said in her four hands that she has Abhaya and Varada Mudra. Okay, she blesses, she gives everybody and blesses them. Since she does Abhayam, but she doesn't, it's not factored in her forearms. If you remember Saundarya Lahari, when we did it, right, there is a verse over there where Acharya is telling her, all the other gods need to do this and this because they have to show it and prove that they are blessing, right? Ambal, you don't need to do it because your feet itself, your pada dhuli itself, your feet itself will give us that, right? You don't need to have those mudras. That is so, I mean, just relating to this, for those of, Acharya, Perivalan, they always are comparing, I don't know Abhirami Andadi, but for those of you, Radhika, Kritika, whoever knows Abhirami Andadi, right? Between that Saundarya Lahari and Lalita Sahasranamam, apparently there are so many parallels. I can see between Saundarya Lahari and Lalita Sahasranamam, but they say that really Lalita Sahasranamam is a condensation of Saundarya Lahari and Abhirami Andadi, basically poured into one. So you'll see a lot of parallels over there. So which is why you don't see the description of the Abhaya and Varada Mudra in Lalita Sahasranamam. Any questions on the dhyanams? We'll just do it once before. Maybe we'll try and do at least 10 verses. We'll just go do. So, okay. Why don't we just go through? Uma mami, ninga verse pandrella, the dhyanam modala solrella, the first dhyanam solrella. Sindhuraruna vigraham. Or what practice padla? Namaskaram.
सिन्दूरारणविग्रहां त्रिनयनां माणिक्यमौलिस्फुरत्तारानायकशेखरां स्मितमुखीम् आबीनवक्षोरुहां
Apina mami,
पाणिभ्याम्
apina kekkudu, apina.
आपीनवक्षोरुहां पाणिभ्याम्
Ali, yeah, Panibhyam Ali Purna.
पाणिभ्यामलिपूर्णरत्नषक्षकं रक्तोत्पलं बिभ्रतीं सौम्यां रत्नकडस्थरक्तचरणां ध्यायेत् पराम् अम्बिकाम्.
Super. Veena ma, do you want to?
மீனிங்
Mami?
நல்ல
Oh,
மீனிங்
thank you, mami.
ரொம்ப
Very well.
நல்லா கேட்கதான்
Thank you, mami.
வந்து அது
Veena, can you try the second one, ma?
Yeah. अरुणां करुणातरङ्गिताक्षीं धृतपाशाङ्कुशपुष्पबाणचापाम् अणिमादिभिरावृतां मयूखैरहमित्येव विभावये भवानीम्.
Correct. The only thing is, don't pause at mayukhair. Okay, so either animadi bhiravritam mayukhaihi and ahamityeva, or say it as one. It's one big word. Animadi bhiravritam mayukhairahamityeva, like that. Okay.
Okay, that's for me. It is written r.
It is ra. It is there. But what I'm saying, the ra, you don't pause. The ra is basically when you have Sanskritam, you have a visargam and then the next word, right? It's mayukhaihi and ahamityeva. But together, when you say it, is mayukhair rahamityeva. But you shouldn't pause it on mayukhair. There's no mayukhair. Mayukhair rahamityeva. You have to just continue it.
Mayukair ahamityeva. Mayukair ahamityeva.
Yeah, together.
Okay.
Madhavima, can you say the third one? Dhyayet padmasana.
ध्यायेत् पद्मासनस्तां विकसितवदनां पद्मपत्रायताक्षीं हेमभां पीतवस्त्राङ्करकलितलसद्धेम पद्मां वराङ्गीं सर्वालङ्कारयुक्तां सततमभयदां
Satatam correct.
सततमभयदां.
Don't say mabhayadam. It is satatam abhayadam. But you together it's satatam abhayadam. Okay.
सतत अभयधाम भक्तनम्रां भवानीं श्रीविद्यां शास्त्रमूर्तिं
Shantamurtim Shri Vidyam Shantamurtim
श्रीविद्यां शान्तमूर्तिं सकलसुरानुतां
Suranutam Suranutam not Suranutam la Suranutam
सुरनुतां सर्वसम्प्रदात्रीं
Sarva Sampat Pradatrim
सर्वसम्पत्प्रदातीं.
yeah, Trim, okay, Pradatrim. Datrim, so one who gives. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fourth one, Sujata ma, you want to try the fourth one, ma?
ध्यायेत्
Oh,
पद्मासनस्थितां
India Sujata. Okay, sorry.
You. I meant you.
सकुङ्कुमविलेपनां
Yeah, Sujata ma, you ma. Shiva. Are there more Sujatas
I
here?
think Madhavi சொல்றான்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
Illa. She said the third one, ma. You said the fourth one.
Okay, yeah. Sakunkuma vilepanam alika chumbi kasturikam samandahasi dekshanam sashara chapa pasankusham
Pashankushama,
pasankusham asesha janamohinim arunamalya bhushambaram chapa kusuma basuram chapavitau smaret ambikam.
Super. Yeah. Okay. Let's just do a few verses and then we'll wind up for today. Okay. Radhika ma, do you want to repeat ma? Let's do the first one. Radhika. Yeah.
Me again?
Radhika ma. Oh, illa ma. Udu Radhika. Radhika.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, yeah. Okay.
I'm using phone for audio.
Yeah, I figured. Okay.
Yeah.
Shrimata Shri Maharagni.
Shrimata Shri Maharagni. Shrimata Shri Maharagni.
Shrimat Simhasaneshwari.
Shrimat Simhasaneshwari. Shrimat Simhasaneshwari.
Chidagnikunda Sambhuta.
Chidagnikumbha Sambhuta. Chidagnikumbha Sambhuta.
It's not Kundha, it's just Kundama. Just
Kunda.
no Mahaprana.
Kunda.
Yeah.
Ah.
Devakarya Samudyata.
देवकार्यसमुद्यता से देवकार्यसमुद्यता
Om Shri Mata Shri Maharagni Shrimat Simhasaneshwari.
ॐ श्रीमाता श्रीमहाराज्ञी श्रीमत्सिंहासनेश्वरी ॐ श्रीमाता श्रीमहाराज्ञी श्रीमत्सिंहासनेश्वरी
Chidagnikunda Sambhuta Devakarya Samudyata.
चिदग्निकुण्डसम्भूता देवकार्यसमुद्यता चिदग्निकुण्डसम्भूता देवकार्यसमुद्यता
Samudyata, again, no Mahaprana there. It's just Udyata.
समुद्यता
Yeah. Can you say?
चिदग्निकुण्डसम्भूता देवकार्यसमुद्यता
Yeah. Say the whole verse.
ॐ श्रीमाता श्रीमहाराज्ञी श्रीमत्सिंहासनेश्वरी चिदग्निकुण्डसम्भूता देवकार्यसमुद्यता
Okay. So Shri is Mata. I mean, it's a beautiful start itself, right? Again, I'm not going to go through meanings of every verse. Some of it is beyond me also. But Shri Mata, right? I mean, the most endearing thing is she is mother. She is Maharagni because she is, as you're going to see further and further, she is the supreme. Lalita Sahasranamam, she is the Paraman, she is Brahman, right? She is the one who's giving portfolios for everybody else to do. Srimat Simhashaneshwari. So she is the one when she's arising out of the Chitagnikunda Sambhuta, right? She's coming from there. And why is she coming? Devakarya, for the purpose of a Devakaryam, Udyata. She is rising because of that. And because she is Maharagni, she's sitting on a Simhasanam. Okay. And that Simhasanam is supposed to be the lion Simhasanam that she is supposed to be sitting on. Okay. Sharadama, can you take this one? Udyat Bhanu Sahasrabha.
उद्यद्भानुसहस्राभा उद्यद्भानुसहस्राभा
Abha, Mahaprana, Bha. Okay. Abha means the brilliance. Okay. Chaturbha.
सहस्राभा
Chaturbahu Samanvita.
चतुर्बाहु समन्विता चतुर्बाहु समन्विता
Ragaswarupa Pashadhya.
रागस्वरूप पाशाट्या रागस्वरूप पाशाट्या
Krodhakarankushojvala.
क्रोधाकारा कुशोज्ज्वला क्रोधाकारा कुशोज्ज्वला
Actually, you're right.
कारां
Krodhakarankushojvala. Karankushojvala.
क्रोधा
Yeah. Ankusha and Ujjvala.
ओके
Krodhakarankushojvala.
क्रोधा क्रोधाकाराङ्कुशोज्ज्वला
Yeah.
क्रोधाकाराङ्कुशोज्ज्वला
Udyadbhanu Sahasrabha Chaturbahu Samanvita.
उद्यद्भानुसहस्राभा चतुर्बाहुसमन्विता उद्यद्भानुसहस्राभा चतुर्बाहुसमन्विता
Ragaswarupa Pashadhya Krodhakarankushojvala.
रागस्वरूपपाशाट्या क्रोधाकाराङ्कुशोज्ज्वला रागस्वरूपपाशाट्या क्रोधाकाराङ्कुशोज्ज्वला उद्यद्भानुसहस्राभा चतुर्बाहुसमन्विता रागस्वरूपपाशाट्या क्रोधाकाराङ्कुशोज्ज्वला
Yeah. So, Udyat Bhanu Sahasrabha, Udyat Bhanu, again, is a Bhanu is sun. Udyat is rising. We already saw, right? She's the color of the rising sun, right? So, and we have to appreciate that we are talking about the rising sun because that is the one that is pleasing, right? And Chaturbahu Samanvita, she is endowed with 4 hands that we've also seen. Raga Swarupa Pashadhya, Krodha and Ankusha Ujjvala, right? So again, what does she have? what does he have in her hands, right? Raga Swarupa Pashadhya. So she has, Raga means any passion. We've already saw that, right? So Pashar um, is a noose with which you hold, which you pull this thing, right? So she is pulling all the desires away from the devotee, right? So that is what she is doing. Raga Swarupa Pashadhya and Krodha, and she has the goad. Krodha is, again, we have ahankara, krodha, right? And so this ankusha that she has is basically what she krodha is we have 6 ripus, we have 6 enemies, which is basically krodha, kama, krodha, mada, matsarya, lobha, greed, jealousy, and I forget what is the other, delusion, all that, we have 6 enemies. So when we talk about our enemies, right, we have enemies in that, right? Kama is desire, krodha is anger, lobha is greed, mother is basically delusion, right? And then matsarya is jealousy, and there is one more, I forget what it is, right? So with this ankusham, she's basically whipping us and making sure that we get rid of all those. Okay, krodha, kara, ankushojula. Yeah, that is the second line. And the next one, she's talking about the other hand. Manaha is the Ikshukodandam, I said, right? Is like the Manaha. And the Pancha Tanmatra is Sayaka. That is, the arrows are the Pancha Tanmatras. The Tanmatras are basically her sense organs. That is what she has as her arrows. That is in the next verse. Sridevi ma, can you take it? Yeah. Mano Rupekshukodanda.
मनोरूपेक्षुको दण्ड मनोरूपेक्षुको दण्ड
Pancha Tanmatra Sayaka.
पञ्चतन्मात्रसायक पञ्चतन्मात्रसायक
Nijaruna Prabhapura Majjad Brahmanda Mandala. It is fully one word. Yeah.
निजारुणप्रभापूर मज्जद्ब्रह्माण्डमण्डल निजारुणप्रभापूर मज्जद्ब्रह्माण्डमण्डल
Manorupekshukodan.
मनोरूपेक्षुको दण्ड पञ्चतन्मात्रसायक निजारुणप्रभापूर मज्जद्ब्रह्माण्डमण्डल.
So Manorupekshu Kodanda. So she has that bow again. When we surrender to her, she holds that bow, which is our basically our mind, right? So Manorupe Ikshukodanda Panchatanmatra Sayaka. Right. So again, the arrows are basically all our the Pushpa Bana, which is our desires, and it's basically the doors to everything, right? And we've seen this in length in our Bhagavad Gita class, where you have all these going in different directions. So once you rein them in, right? Once you rein them in and bring it under her control, then that is the way the devotee attains peace with her. So that's why she keeps, when the Bhagavan, when we pray to her for Chitta Shuddhi, basically we are offering our mind and our senses, everything all to her, okay? And Nija Aruna Prabhapura Majjad Brahmanda Mandala, right? So the Brahmanda Mandala is basically, she is she is a form of the entire Brahmanda, right? And she is Aruna Prabhapur. She's her self is, she is basically, she is brightness, glow, right? And Brahmanda Mandalam, she is a part of this entire universe. That is what that is saying. Okay. Rashmi ma, can you take the next one? Champaka, Shoka, Punnaga, Saugandhikala, Satkacha. Again, a lot of these are full words, so don't split it in between.
चम्पकाशोकपुन्नागसौगन्धिकलसत्कचा चम्पकाशोकपुन्नागसौगन्धिकलसत्कचा
Kuruvindamanishhreni Kanatkotiramandita.
कुरुविन्दमणिश्रेणी कनत्कोटिरमण्डिता कुरुविन्दमणिश्रेणी कनत्कोटिरमण्डिता.
Can you say it?
चम्पकाशोकपुन्नागसौगन्धिकलसत्कचा कुरुविन्दमणिश्रेणी कनत्कोटिरमण्डिता.
So all these are names of different flowers that she has it, okay? Champaka, Ashoka, Punnaga, Saugandhika, all these are ones that she adorns, okay? And Kuruvinda, Manishreni, Kanat, Kotira, Mandita. Again, these are all different flowers that as Kuruvinda is, again, it's a kind of a gem, okay? So these are all adorning, basically they're all adorning Ambal. So that is what all these manis, right? it is they're all offered as decoration to Ambal. Who else? Venkat Chodrela, next one. Ashtami Chanda Vibraja Dalika Sthala Shobhita.
Ashtami Chandra Viprajita Sopika Muga
இல்ல சொல்லுங்க வெங்கட். யா அஷ்டமி சந்திர விப்ராஜ்.
அஷ்டமி சந்திர விப்ராஜ தலிகஸ்தல சோபிதா.
அது ஒன் வேர்ட், பாஸ் பண்ணாத சொல்லுங்க.
ஓகே. அஷ்டமி சந்திர விப்ராஜ தலிகஸ்தல சோபிதா.
முகச்சந்திர கலங்காப மிருகணாபிவிசேஷகா.
முகச்சந்திர கலங்காப மிருகநாபி விசேஷகா. முகச்சந்திர கலங்காப மிருகநாபி விசேஷகா. அஷ்டமி சந்திர விப்ராஜ தலிகஸ்த தலசோபிதா. முகச்சந்திர கலங்காப மிருகநாபி விசேஷகா.
அந்த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லைன் திருப்பி சொல்லுங்க. அலிகஸ்தல தலிக விப்ராஜ தலிகஸ்தல.
ஓகே. அஷ்டமி சந்திர விப்ராஜ தலிகஸ்தல சோபிதா. முகச்சந்திர கலங்காப மிருகநாபி விசேஷகா.
Yeah, so she is like the Ashtami Chandra. Ashtami, the 8th day, right? You know, that is considered very beautiful. So that's what she looks. Ashtami Chandra Vibrajat Alika Sthala Shobhita. You know, she is looking gorgeous because she's Shobhi. She's considered very beautiful, and Mukha Chandra Kalankabha Mriganabhi Visheshakar. So she's wearing a very fragrant paste, and there is a tilaka. She's wearing a tilakam, right? So kalanka means a mark or a dirt or a mark, right? So you know how on the face of the Chandra we say there's a mark which is like a kalankam, right? So his creme is what she has this beautiful face, and on that there is a she's wearing a bindi, or she's wearing kunkumam, the spot, which is compared to which is like the spot on the moon, because we've already compared her face to a beautiful moon, right? So that's what that is saying. Okay. Who was Nitya ma? Lavanya, sorry. Lavanya, do you want to say things? Vadanasmara Mangalya Grihatorana Chillika.
वदनस्मर माङ्गल्य गृहतोरण चिल्लिका. वदनस्मर माङ्गल्य गृहतोरण चिल्लिका.
वक्त्रलक्ष्मी परिवाह चलन् मीनाभलोचना.
वक्त्रलक्ष्मी परिवाह चलन् मीनाभलोचना. वक्त्रलक्ष्मी परिवाह चलन् मीनाभलोचना. वदनस्मर माङ्गल्य गृहतोरण चिल्लिका. वक्त्रलक्ष्मी परिवाह चलन् मीनाभलोचना.
So we should think of Meenakshi when we are talking about, especially the second line, okay? Vadana Smara. Smara is again Manmata is another name, okay? So her face is like the house of her face is like the house of, or the palace of Manmata. It is so beautiful, right? And her eyebrows, right? Her chillika, I think, is eyebrows. So you know her eyebrows are like the toranam that we hang on the in a beautiful house, right? We had like the manga, the mango leaves and all that. We had the toranam. So her eyebrows are beautiful like that. Okay, and in fact, in another place, I don't know if it's in Soundarya, her eyebrows are compared to the bow of Manmatha, right? So because again, this is re-emphasizing that, you know, Manmatha is one of Devi's best bhaktas, right? And all the power that he gets is because of her. And then Vaktra Lakshmi Parivaha. Okay, Lakshmi is the thing, but when you talk about Lakshmi, you're talking about beauty, grace, prosperity, everything, right? So her entire face is flowing. Parivaha is like a stream, it is flowing with this Lakshmi Kataksham, right? And Chalan Meenabha Lochana, and her eyes are like the beautiful fish. And just by that glance of that Kataksham of that eye, it will nourish the entire universe.
Thank you, Deepa.
Of course. Swatima, do you want to take the next one?
Okay.
Okay. Navachampaka Pushpabha Nasa Danda Virajita.
Navachampaka Pushpabha Nasa Danda Virajita. Navachampaka Pushpabha Nasa Danda Virajita.
Tara Kanti Tiraskari Nasa Bharanabhasura.
Tara Kanti Tiraskari Nasa Bharanabhasura. Tara Kanti Tiraskari Nasa Bharanabhasura.
Can you say it, ma'am?
नवचम्पकपुष्पाभा नासा दण्डविराजिता ताराकान्तितिरस्कारी नासा भरणभासुरा.
So the Nasa Danda is this Dandam, like that. This part is called the Nasa Dandam, right? So it is like the stalk of a Nava's new Champaka, okay, like the brilliance of the newly blossomed Champaka flower. And Nasa Bharana is the Abharanam, it is the jewelry for the nose, which is a nose ring, right? And that is sparkling like a Tara is star, like it is as though it has stolen the brilliance of the stars, and that is what is that is what she is wearing as her nose ring. And Bhasura, that is it is shining like that. Okay, Kritika ma, can you take the next one, ma? We'll just do till 10 and we'll stop. Okay. Kadamba Manjali Klipta Karna Pura Manohara.
कदम्बमञ्जरीक्लृप्तकर्णपूरमनोहरा कदम्बमञ्जरीक्लृप्तकर्णपूरमनोहरा
ताटङ्कयुगलीभूततपनोडुपमण्डला
ताटङ्कयुगलीभूततपनोडुपमण्डला ताटङ्कयुगलीभूततपनोडुपमण्डला कदम्बमञ्जरीक्लृप्तकर्णपूरमनोहरा ताटङ्कयुगलीभूततपनोडुपमण्डला.
Yeah. So Kadamba Manjari is like a kuttu. Okay. So she's wearing the Kadamba flowers as Karnapura Manohar, as you know, as in her ears. Okay. And these give off very divine gray, very divine fragrance, right? And then Tatanka Yugali. Tatanka is her two Tatangams, right? Yugali is pair. Bhuta Tapana Udupa Mandala. Tapana is a sun. Udupa is the moon. Okay, so Tapanodupa Mandala. So she is wearing this as as though she's that entire that mandalam of the solar thing is within her ears. Again, when we say Tatanka, we have to think about Akilandeshwari. So as these are all also for Dhyanam, right? So when we look at Meena Balochana, we think of Meenakshi. When we think of Tatanka Yugali, you think about you think about Akilandeshwari. And again, in Saundarya Lahari, there's a beautiful thing about her Tatanka, right? Because she's saying that is the Tatanka is what has given her the Mangalyam for when Shiva drank the poison, right? That Mahima, the Tatanka Mahima is what helped Shiva, be okay even though he drank the poison. So again, all this is figurative, but the thing is that she is his Shakti, right? Without, as Periva says, in Tamil, Shiva without the E is considered as a Jivam of the Ambal, right? The Shiva without Shakti is basically Shavam, right? Shavam is basically a body. So that's what it is. Right? Deepa, can you take the next one? Padmaraga Shiladarsha Paribhavika Polabhuhu.
पद्मरागशिलादर्श परिभाविकपोलभूः पद्मरागशिलादर्श परिभाविकपोलभूः
नवविद्रुमबिम्बश्री न्यक्कारिरदनच्छदा
नवविद्रुमबिम्बश्रीन्यक्कारीरदनच्छदा नवविद्रुमबिम्बश्रीन्यक्कारीरदनच्छदा.
So Nyakkari, don't Nyakkari, it is not, it's small e, Nyakkari, Radanachada, you have to immediately see. So it could be, there's another Pathantaram, it could be Dashanachada also. Both are correct. Okay. Can you say that second line again, ma?
नवविद्रुमबिम्बश्रीन्यक्कारिरदनच्छदा नवविद्रुमबिम्बश्रीन्यक्कारिरदनच्छदा.
Can you say the full thing?
पद्मरागशिलादर्श परिभाविकपोलभूः नवविद्रुमबिम्बश्रीन्यक्कारिरदनच्छदा.
Yeah. So Shila, Kapola Bhuhu is Kapolam is her cheeks. Now we are just describing her, right? We've talked about her eyes, we've talked about her Tatanga, talked about her nose. Now they're talking about her cheeks. Okay. So Padmaraga is a very beautiful stone. It's a gemstone. Okay. So it is almost like it is making that gemstone jealous. Her cheeks are like that, right? So it is so red and so beautiful that it makes these gemstones like ruby and other Padmaraga and all jealous, because they cannot match her skin. And Nava Vidruma Bimbashi Nyakyari, now is talking about her teeth. Okay. Her teeth and her flower and her lips. right? So her lips are always compared to bimba flowers. Again, the bimba flowers or coral, right? They are considered to be very blue. So there's a lot of redness, which is the either of love, right, and passion. So her lips, Nava Vidruma, Bimba Vidruma is coral. So like a new coral or a bimba fruit, right? Her lips are of that color, and what is this? This is one that that are outlines of her white teeth. So that is what is being described here. Okay, Rasanachada. Last one. Let's see who. Nitya, can you go, ma? Nitya Krishna. Sorry, I didn't see you. Shuddha Vidyankurakara Dvija Pankti Dvayojvala.
शुद्धविद्याङ्गुराकार द्विजपङ्क्तिद्वयोज्ज्वला शुद्धविद्याङ्गुराकार
Gurakarala, Kuraka, Ankura. So, okay, Shuddha Vidyankurakara. Yeah.
शुद्धविद्याङ्कुराकार द्विजपङ्क्तिद्वयोज्ज्वला शुद्धविद्याङ्कुराकार द्विजपङ्क्तिद्वयोज्ज्वला
कर्पूरवीटिकामोद समाकर्षिदिगन्तरा.
कर्पूरवीडिकामोदसमाकर्षिदिगन्तरा कर्पूरवीडिकामोदसमाकर्षिदिगन्तरा शुद्धविद्या
कर्पूरवीटिकामोदमा. Gamoda ಅಂತ ಕೇಟದೆ. It's ಕಾಮೋದ.
कर्पूरवीडिकामोदसमाकर्षिदिगन्तरा कर्पूरवीडिकामोदसमाकर्षिदिगन्तरा शुद्धविद्याङ्कुराकार द्विजपङ्क्तिद्वयोज्ज्वला कर्पूरवीटिकामोदसमाकर्षिदिगन्तरा.
So again, Shuddha Vidyang, Ankura means like a bud. Okay, so Shuddha Vidyam, so she is the embodiment of all knowledge, right? So Shuddha Vidya, Sri Vidya, of everything. So Ankura, she is the bud of that. Okay, and Dvija Pankti Dvai Ujjvala is again to be very bright and shining. Okay, so she is basically that pure Vidya, and which is and she's basically the bud. She gives rise to all this Vidya and that. Okay, and then Dvija Pankti Dvayar Karpura Vitika Amoda. So Karpura Viti is again is like a paste. Okay, so Karpura Vitikamoda Samakarshi Digantara. Digantara means is all the different directions, right? Her radiance is actually radiating in all, and the smell from all the paste that she has, right? It is Akarshi, it is attracting everything in all the direction. Digantaram, Dik is a direction. So she is basically attracting everything in all the directions. So it is basically she is providing the fragrance to the entire universe, is what this one is saying. Okay, so we've talked about her entire face, and her ears and the fragrance. So this is sort of this section of it is a description. It is continuing from the Dhyanam, is a description of Ambal. Okay, so we'll stop here today. I know we did a lot. From next week we'll probably try and do 20 or 25 verses. Okay, stop, and why don't we just revise 1 to 10 once.